it's so heavy. Okay, we just wrapped up our year, and I decided that while I'm going through everything, it's the perfect time to do a little recap for myself and my records, but also for you all. My hope in sharing all of this is I'm hoping that you'll get an idea as to whether or not anything that we use might be a good fit for your ninth grader. So this is part 4 in my 4-part series of what we used and loved from the past school year. Part 1 discusses group study material. Part 2 discusses what we did for the preschooler and early elementary child. Part 3 is middle school, and part 4 is dedicated to the ninth grader. So you guys, if you're new here, I'm Shayla, and I'm so glad you stopped by. Really briefly, a little bit about me. I'm a blessed and loved wife and mama, currently home educating our 6 kids in our eclectic bow home in a little town up north where the coffee is the best and the mountain air is the freshest. Singing a New Song is my lifestyle blog, all about the inspo, from being inspired to being an inspiration. Topics I cover include faith, family, boho style, home education, a little homesteading, modern homemaking, recipes, reviews, and more. So be sure to check out my channel if you like what you see. Okay, so wrapping up the school year. So as I mentioned, I have 6 kids. I was homeschooling 5 of them this year. Anyways, we have got ages 15 down to tot. By the way, my entire homeschool journey has been with a toddler around. I have some videos and posts with my best tips on how I have managed this through the years, so see those links below if you are in the same boat. Also, I have some posts on how I homeschool kids in multiple grades, so look for those links below as well. So this year went by really fast, I felt like. It was a hard year, very hard, but overall good. So when I say it was a hard year, I did not feel like it was too hard. For myself, the hardest homeschool years that we have had were the beginning years. The first years, we were dealing with undiagnosed ADHD in our oldest child, the one who is now in 9th grade. And it was a real struggle. There was a lot of praying, a lot of tears, a lot of wondering what I was doing wrong. And then come to find out after we consulted with a special education specialist when he was 7 that he had what they referred to back then as ADD without the hyperactivity factor. Those years prior to figuring out what was going on were definitely my hardest homeschool years. And I feel like this year, with all the different grades I was teaching to, was definitely kind of like a runner-up, but I knew through it from going through such hard years in the beginning and not giving up that we could do this and we could get through. So I'm going to start with last year. Last year I planned a beautiful 4-year program, and after I spent weeks planning my son's high school 4-year program, we found out that in our state, as soon as he turns 17, he can just go get his GED. He got pretty excited when he learned that, so I honestly do not know how far we're going to make it into this 4-year program that I have for him. He would really like to get his GED as soon as he can and go on to study trade and computer programming as well as the arts. So he has quite a few more advanced college classes that he's really wanting to take. So as long as he gets his GED, we're okay with that. I'm a little disappointed that he might not stick around and use all the materials that I have planned out. But this is one of the reasons we homeschool. It's to teach our kids to find their dream and make it happen. Before I go into what I used this year, I should mention one thing. So our oldest, as I said before, he is the one with the ADHD, and he also has a processing issue, which is common. 70% of kids with ADHD do have other learning issues, according to WebMD. So our oldest son is actually in therapy right now for both the ADHD and the learning issues, and he sees specialists 3 times a week. I'm also going to make another video just completely talking about ADHD and our experiences with it and things that we have learned. So today I'm going to cover the 9th and 10th grade materials that we have been using The bad news is that we didn't get through everything this year. The good news is that most of the curriculum that I chose is actually 2-year programs. So it covers the 9th and 10th grade. So we still have some time. So I'm going to go through what we're using for algebra, science, history, social studies, English, and health. You'll notice I did not say foreign language. With our son having ADHD, just the algebra, science, history, and social studies, English, and health was major for him this year. It was a lot. And like I said, he didn't quite get through everything that I had hoped he would. With that said, though, the other piece of good news is that his grades are pretty good. He is getting mostly A's and B's. So that is super encouraging to me, even though it's taking him a while to get through everything. Because it's not right here, and I know I'll forget if I don't mention it right now, for algebra, he is using teaching textbooks. Okay, I have heard people try to say that teaching textbooks is not very good because it has holes, or I can't remember if they say it has holes. Some people try to say that, and some people try to say it's not teaching at grade level, it's behind. The thing is with teaching textbooks is that it does not teach things in the same order as Common Core. So if your kid goes and gets tested and they're using teaching textbooks, they may test behind. But I have read review after review after review on teaching textbooks, and I have seen parents say, we used it all the way through. If you stick with it, it does teach everything they need to know, and it does fill in all of what appears to be gaps as you're going through it. And I also saw reviews where parents said their kid went in and got the highest possible points on their GED, and they had used teaching textbooks. So I'm not worried. I love teaching textbooks because teaching textbooks is CDs. You pop them in the computer, or they also have online, and it grades your kid. It teaches the entire lesson. And if your child has a problem, they even provide teachers. So your kid can call teaching textbooks and they will have a teacher on staff to help walk your kid through whatever it is that they're having trouble with. In all the years we've been using it, we've only had to call them one time. The rest of the times we've been able to help our son whenever he had issues or questions. And sometimes there have been some things, and this is just the way it is with math. And if you ask any math teacher, they will tell you the same thing. In fact, I know this because I did ask a math teacher this. There are some concepts that kids need time to stew on, to brew, and they won't get it this year, but they might get it next year. He's been doing really well. He enjoys teaching textbooks. We're going to stick with it, of course, because neither I nor my husband are very strong when it comes to mathematics, arithmetic. Definitely not algebra. I mean, I remember some from algebra, but not nearly enough. So I am very thankful to have teaching textbooks that teaches my child, grades him, and a teacher that he can call if he needs help. I highly recommend teaching textbooks for those of you out there that need help. Another program that I highly recommend is Math-U-See, also a great curriculum for helping kids to get really, really strong in mathematics, and also provides a teacher. With Math-U-See, they have the whole lesson taught by a teacher, a math teacher, that your child gets to watch the lesson, or you can watch the lesson and then go and do the lessons. Moving on, Knotgrass. Knotgrass is what we're using for history and social studies, as well as English. We are absolutely loving the tone, the writing tone of this history, social studies, and English curriculum. We enjoy this so much that my son has been working on it through the week, but one of the things that we like to do is we also like to work on this a little bit on Sundays as well, because the lessons in these books are so deep, they're so thought-provoking and so good. This is the Exploring America series, part 1 and 2, and then they have American Voices. They have literature throughout. This one here is the literature, and then they have lessons throughout with English activities that they want your child to do. So we really love it. Like I said, this is inspiring our son. This whole course has been inspiring him to think about things he's never thought about before. It's inspiring him to think about history in a way that he has never really thought of it before. It's inspiring him to think about the world he lives in, to cultivate more important life views, world views, and just cultivating a deeper relationship with God. And it's inspiring him to think about really important world and life issues. So I highly recommend this. Again, this is something that the writing tone is more conversational and really nice for, I think, all kids, but especially kids that get bored easily or whose mind wander. It helps to keep the kids engaged, I feel like. So I highly recommend Knotgrass History. We also have been using Bob Jones University. This is our first year with Bob Jones University books, and our son is very slowly working through it. Part of the reason for that is because he also had English in the Knotgrass History books. He is also working through 2 other sources for English. English is very important to me, for my kids to learn. So I will show you what else we're using for English over here that we're actually relying a little more heavily on, more than this, but this is what we're using for composition. Here is what we are using for grammar, and we are absolutely loving. So I switched to Easy Grammar Ultimate Series for him. I switched to the Easy Grammar books last year, and I am not sorry at all. They break things down into just day lessons, and they make it very easy for the child to understand. With the exception of book 2, they are all written so that kids can kind of work through them on their own, which is nice. I like that feature, and they make it very easy to understand. They don't use extra words. They're all short, to the point lessons, not a lot of flowers. And the kids just love it, and they're thriving with the Easy Grammar series. So that's what he is, our oldest son. All the kids are using for grammar now. And the oldest is in the grade 9 book, and I don't think it's going to take him very long to finish it. However, I noticed this week that he's supplementing the lessons by his own choice. So basically, he will do the lessons in here, and he will look up short lessons on YouTube to kind of supplement this, which is kind of nice because he does it when we're doing some group studies after lunch. And so all of the kids are getting to enjoy a little bit of what he's learning, and they kind of have some discussions about it, and they will often crack jokes about what they're learning. So it's kind of a nice, he's turning it into a group study for everybody, it seems to be. So that's super helpful. Okay, so my son is he used 2 things for vocabulary this year. He used Wordly Wise and book 7, which is, behind of where he should be. He should be in the book 9, if they have a book 9. I think they have a book 9. Anyways, he should be in book 9, or have been in book 9. However, I'm going to tell you something kind of exciting. The reason I put him in 7 is because his CAT testing said that he was behind in vocabulary. So I put him in where, he really was, I thought. Well, when he had his vocabulary testing through the speech therapist, it was putting him above grade level. Guys, I am guessing based on that Wordly Wise seems to run a little bit ahead. So if you watch part 3 with middle school, you will see we use vocabulary cartoons, and our oldest son did read that entire book this year as well. And so that also, of course, helped him out with vocabulary. But anyways, I highly recommend Wordly Wise. We love the Wordly Wise books. I love them. The kids, I'm sure they probably don't love them as much as I love them. But I think they're really easy to have your kids work through, and the kids seem to be able to work through them on their own for the most part, and they won't admit it, but I think they seem to enjoy the Wordly Wise books. And like I said, my son was working through book 7, and he tested at least a couple grades ahead with vocabulary, which was shocking to me because his CAT testing, wasn't able to finish it in time, and it put him a little below. By the way, guys, I just want to say on that note, this just goes to show how traditional testing doesn't always give an accurate picture of where a person is at. And it also is a good example to show how test anxiety is a real thing. And it goes to show how many homeschool curriculums are actually very advanced. And they do that for a reason. They do that because From what I have researched and studied, a lot of homeschool curriculums will make it more challenging because they want kids to test well. Okay, so moving on, we've got Exploring Creation with Physical Science. This is the one book that I really hoped my son was going to have finished this year. He only made it about halfway through. It's okay because in the 4-year homeschool high school program that I have for him, I did make the science a little more challenging. He has to do 3 credits, I believe, and I'm looking here just to double check myself. Yeah, he's required to do 3 credits in science in order to graduate in our state. So I did have an extra science in there for him that I was hoping that he would get through. Well, he may not be able to do that now. We just are going to have to spread this over a 2-year span, and then he's going to have to take one of the others in order to, meet the high school requirements in our state. So it'll work out, but he's just not going to be able to get through everything. I had hoped that he would, which is okay. It's okay. I did make it a little bit challenging. However, he has been working through Physical Science, and this is Exploring Creation with Physical Science by Weil. It is an Apologia book, so I really love the Apologia books. One of the things that I love about them is they are really good for kids that have problems engaging with the book or staying with the book and concentrating. They're written in a more conversational tone, and I have to say that it has definitely worked for our oldest, who does have a problem keeping his attention on what he's reading. He has done very well with this book. He seems to be regularly getting A's and B's. I do not help him with, this is pretty much independent. All I do is I make him take the tests and I grade his tests. And so I don't help him a lot. There's a DVD or a CD that he can listen to that goes with it, so that's kind of nice. I went ahead and I got the CD so he could listen as he reads, so he's getting the auditory as well as the visual. And like I said, he's done really well with this. Another great Apologia book that he's been working through slowly, and this is another one of the books that is actually for a 2-year span. So this is for 9th and 10th grade, and this is Apologia's Exploring Creation with Health and Nutrition. When I got this book, I just knew he needed a health credit in order to meet the requirements of our state. And I had no idea that I was going to love this book and that we were going to love this book as much, but I'm just going to read to you a couple of the topics in here. And again, these are written in a much more conversational tone and are great for kids who have trouble staying engaged with what they're reading. It begins with genetics. It talks about natural inclinations and patterns. It talks about temperament, which when it talks about that was a personality, different people have different personalities. Then it goes into physical influences on thoughts and feelings. So it talks about the nervous system, brain illnesses, the endocrine system. Down here in module 3, we've got mental and emotional stability. So it talks about mental health, brain reserve, support for clean thinking, barriers to thinking deeply. I mean, this book it just covers everything. It covers interpersonal harmony, food science, macronutrients, so it teaches kids how to stay healthy and what to eat. We've got nourishment and hydration. It talks about infections, peace in difficult times. It's got a whole module on that. So this is one of the books that he did not make it very far into. One of the reasons why is I could see that he was really loaded down with everything else, and I decided, you know what, our daughter is a little more advanced in her academics, so I said, let's save this and you and her can work through this together in the 2020-2021 year. And you guys can work through this together so that you guys can make this a group thing and have more discussions while you're doing it and inspire each other as you work through this. So that's why we decided, let's take this out, but we're very excited. Like I said, we tried it, loved it, and are very excited to resume it in the coming school year. So since it was taking our son a little bit longer to get through things, and he didn't get quite as far as we had hoped, we thought about summer school for him. But his therapist and the doctor are assuring me that we're doing a good job. He's doing really well. and they're actually recommending that he get a summer job, which is something that we're really excited to hear, because my husband and I have been feeling like maybe that's a good idea for him. And we agree it would be good for him, and it's what he wants. So he's going to get a summer job, and we're going to resume with grade 9 that he didn't finish and the 10th grade materials in August. And hopefully with the therapy he's getting, he'll be able to pick up the pace. But if not, we know that it's going to be okay. He's very smart. He has a good head on his shoulders. He's super level-headed, and he's a great guy. That's where things are at right now. That's all for today, and I will keep you guys posted.